Hello, and welcome back to Podcasting Until Ragnarok. This is episode 3. If you have not already checked out the first 2 episodes, why don't you go ahead and go do that before continuing? Since there's not that many and they're kind of short, I feel like you could catch up pretty quick. I hope everyone's doing well, staying safe, wash your hands, wear a mask. Don't leave the house if you don't need to. If you don't want to wear a mask and you leave the house, it's just natural selection that you get it because you're stupid. That's not my fault. For those of you that don't know, this is a podcast inspired entirely by my blog, Writing Until Ragnarok. This is actually something that I wanted to do for a while. Quarantine kind of gave me the opportunity to do it, but then I had to dedicate. And all of your listening and support just really helps me feel motivated to keep going. And yeah, be sure to check out my blog as well, because again, I really appreciate your support. Thank you so much for listening, for following. If you're not following, you should be following. Thank you. Alright, what are we doing today? Today we are going to read a short piece from my blog called The Little Brick Wall, and we are going to be chatting about The Office, because if you remember in the last podcast, I kind of took a shot at The Office while I was talking about healthy relationships in Parks and Rec. So I feel that I should go in depth about why I took a shot at it, and I'm going to be breaking down the relationships in The Office and my issues that I had with them. Alright, background, a little bit about the brick wall. I used to work as a tutor when I was back in college before the pandemic, and I had shifts on Sunday nights, and so when we were done with the shift, I would be walking back to my car to the parking garage. And around a corner, it was kind of a corner by the library, there was always this little brick wall, and every now and then people would be sitting on it. And I kind of, in a weird way, I felt like I was waiting for something to happen, so I decided to write about that little brick wall, using inspiration also from a show, but I'm not going to tell you what show because I want to see if anyone can guess what it is. I also skipped a few pieces on my blog. If you go to the My Writing page on the blog, you'll notice that I skipped, I think, 2 pieces. I wanted to leave those for you all to go check out on your own, and also I don't enjoy them as much as I enjoyed this one, so I decided to read this one instead because I feel like I'll have more fun with it, and it gives you all motivation to go to my blog. So, here we go. Here is The Little Brick Wall. He sat on the little brick wall, swinging his legs around as he waited, giving onlookers funny looks. Or maybe they were giving him funny looks. It was dark out, nearly 9 p.m., and he sat there with sunglasses on, not giving a shit about anything. He was waiting for something. She walked out the front doors of the building and glanced around. It was a short walk to the car, but she was afraid nonetheless due to the dark. Anyone could be lurking about, and some areas were not well lit. She made it past the first building, past the bike racks, through the construction, and past the coffee shop. And then there was the little brick wall. It started out as a joke from an atheist based on a show, based on a book spawned from a religion stolen from other religions. But it wasn't a joke anymore. It took a few weeks for the message to reach him, and honestly he ignored it for another week. But the message kept coming, on repeat, every night. So there he sat, on the little brick wall, swinging his legs around until she walked into view. She glanced over at the strange person sitting on the little brick wall. A few more steps and another glance led to a good look, and a complete halt. He waved. She spoke his name as a question, to which he replied, "The one and only. You did call for me, after all." She did. He slid off the little brick wall and walked over to her. It felt normal, the two of them being together. They spoke briefly, but she was still processing his existence. His presence here in front of her. Him walking her to her car to ensure she was safe, cursing guys who gave them funny looks. His enjoyment of the K-pop she played in the car during the short drive home. The way he sauntered up the stairs behind her, into the apartment, into her room. And then he laid on the floor, in the way, smirking. He watched her all night, making small conversation and eventually drinking. Drinking a lot, enough to open up. She noticed. "Why did you show up?" she asked. "Nobody speaks kindly of us like you did, wanted to know if it was real." It was real. It was real because of an idea. He was real, and he would protect her at all costs, as he did his angel. Alright, I hope you all enjoyed that piece. That's one of my favorite pieces that I've written and put on my blog. If you happen to know what the inspiration is for the character, you should go let me know on Twitter. I will talk about my Twitter a little bit later. If you already follow me, tweet at me. I don't have a prize for you, but good for you. We're going to take a quick ad break, and then we're going to come back and talk about The Office. Let's take a quick break to talk about Anchor, the app that I'm using to record this podcast. A couple cool things about Anchor is that it's the easiest way to make a podcast. It's free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started today. Welcome back. We're going to talk about The Office, a show currently on Netflix. It's not going to be on Netflix anymore in December, and because I refuse to pay for NBC's streaming service because they're bastards, I purchased all of it on DVD, and I will watch those DVDs as I watch it on Netflix on repeat for the rest of my life. When did I start watching? I started watching in college. I don't remember exactly when, but I had someone kept telling me that I should watch it, so I kind of just put it on one day and started watching it. I don't really like the first 2 seasons very much. They're okay for the background, but I can't really sit and watch them because Michael is just far too cringy, and just like if I worked there, I'd probably punch him in the face more often than not, or just quit and sue. But why do I like it so much, following me talking about punching Michael in the face? I really don't know. I feel like it's just really good background noise to have on all the time. I really do like some of the love stories when they're starting out. It's just an easy show to watch. I feel like it's easier than Parks and Rec because Parks and Rec I feel like I pay more attention to when it's on, whereas The Office I can just put on and then do things and I feel productive. I don't know. But yeah, I do like it. I'm currently listening to the Office Ladies podcast about the show. That is Jenna Fisher and Angela, I don't know her last name, bother. Pam and Angela from the show are breaking down the show. They're talking about behind the scenes things. They do, I think they post every Tuesday or Wednesday. They'll break down Office, they bring on other actors and just talk about it, and it's really fun. My favorite thing about it is learning what their thought processes were when doing certain scenes, so then when you go watch those scenes, you feel more of a connection with the character, because you learn really what was being portrayed there emotionally, or what the actor or actress was thinking while they played it, and I think it's really fun. It's given me more insight to the show and even a greater appreciation for it. Including Michael, I think some of the things he does I understand better now, which has made it a little bit easier to watch. Before that, it was just kind of you're insufferable. Who are my favorite characters and why? That's a little bit of a difficult question because I feel like it changes per season. I really do like Jim and Pam at certain points. I didn't really like Pam when she was dating Roy because, I'll talk about that. Or Jim and Pam in the last season. I feel like they were just stupid. Dwight is a great character. I feel like Dwight's the only consistent character about the type of person he is throughout, and I appreciate that. In a weird way, I enjoy Ryan. I don't know why. Least favorite characters. Honestly, I don't really like the main character, Michael. Again, I have a greater appreciation for him, but it's just, I understand that it was the jokes and that's how he was supposed to be. But especially when I first started watching it, I was like, how do these people not just punch him in the face every second of every day? It's shut up. Which is also why it works as good background, because you're not fully paying attention, so you kind of just tune in for the funny parts and then tune out. And that's okay. But I want to discuss the relationships because that is where I took my shot. Again, oof. Last week, I talked about the healthy relationships in Parks and Rec and some other things about Parks and Rec. if you haven't listened to it, go listen to that real quick and then come back, because we're going to break down most of the relationships in The Office. I probably skimmed over like some smaller ones because they weren't as relevant, and the issues I had with them because of the direction they took. First relationship, Angela and Dwight. Weird, but they're weird characters. It starts out okay, they're in a secret relationship, they're happy together, and then Dwight mercy kills Angela's cat, so Angela dumps him, and then Angela ends up dating Andy. Don't know how she got there mentally, but they started dating. But then at some point, we catch her cheating on Andy with Dwight, and it seems like the show's, and again, this is just my perception of it, they kind of just treat it as like a joke. They don't, I feel like there is some emotional moments behind it, but it's mostly just a joke, or people like grilling her for it, or they're just like, oh, you're a terrible person, ha ha ha. And I feel like that's kind of underplaying it, because cheating is a really serious thing. Like, if you are with someone but you want to be with someone else, just break up with the person you're with and go be with that someone else. It'll be a lot easier on everybody if you just go be with the person you want to be with and stop being shitty to someone else. Now, she does kind of get karma because she does get cheated on by her gay husband, except that her gay husband cheats on her with Oscar, who was supposed to be her friend. Very complicated. A lot of cheating. I feel like they did give it its moments of like, hey, this isn't okay, but it went on for longer, and you kind of don't hate Angela. Like, she gets this whole redemption arc in season 9, and I feel like for a show, I kind of get that, but in reality, that's not okay. If someone cheats on you, they're a terrible person, they don't get redemption, end of story. Oscar kind of got redemption too, and I feel like that was just a little bit so that, you know, the people watching didn't hate them, but it's just not, to me it was just kind of stupid. I feel like Angela could have just been like, you know what, I'm not gonna marry Andy, went with Dwight. They could have been a secret. Oscar didn't have to sleep with her husband, like, really. And then at the end, Angela and Dwight get back together. We find out that Angela's baby is also Dwight's baby, not the senator's. So she once again cheated, but he was cheating on her, so I guess that makes it okay. And so they get a happy ending. You feel happy for them. They have a kid, but it's just like, I don't think it was necessary. And I also feel like season 8 and season 9, mostly season 9, really didn't know what to do with their relationships and decided to just cause a lot of shit that wasn't necessary, and I feel like was stupid. Quite frankly, you don't need to watch season 9 except for like the last episode. Anyway, the next relationship, Pam and Roy. I feel like Pam and Roy's relationship at the beginning was kind of toxic and unhealthy for Pam, because he didn't really care about her or her feelings or anything. He just did whatever, and he kind of just like used her when he wanted her, but other than that, he just did whatever. And I don't know that they really ever addressed the fact that he was kind of shitty to her, because they tried to redeem him in season 3 as like, I have to be better for Pam, like this whole like he's always loved her. And it's like, but did you really? Or do you just like having someone around? Because it didn't ever really feel like he cared about her. It was just like, he just liked having this woman around. And then Pam and Jim get together, and it's all great and healthy and normal until season 9, where they're like, oh, let's just add some more stupid ass drama that isn't realistic for how we've written the characters the entire time before this. If you haven't seen the season 9 or the show, or for whatever reason you have no idea what I'm talking about, you should watch it. But in season 9, Jim kind of has this opportunity to do something else with his life. That makes sense. Everyone that knows Jim knows that he doesn't always want to be a paper salesman. He wants to do something with his life. He wants to find a better job. That arc made sense. What didn't make sense is that, well, it kind of did, but then it didn't. Pam and Jim, I guess, discussed it and decided no. But I feel like whatever happened in this discussion, Jim didn't actually really express to her, or she wasn't understanding, because she knew he didn't want to do this for the rest of his life. He knows he doesn't want to do this, and he's always talked about that. So when he ends up going to do it anyway, That makes sense. What didn't make sense is that he didn't just come back to her and just be like, hey, I know we talked about this. I want to talk about this again. I really want to give this a shot, blah, blah, blah. That was problem A. It is completely illogical and just stupid to me that they didn't communicate. They were such a good couple that communicated so much up until this point, which is just the show creating drama for the sake of creating drama, because it was not logical. And the whole arc of this shit is just because they started it with like, oh, well, now they don't talk to each other. Well, that's bullshit. That's just bullshit. And it becomes this whole thing. And then, and this, like, this pissed me off especially, at one point when Pam is like having a breakdown over it, she's like, you know, he went and did this without talking to me. He bought a house without telling me. At what point in my life is he going to start making decisions that include me? And I was like, okay, hold up, bitch. I think it was season 4, the end of season 4, when he bought the house, she was beyond thrilled. She was like, oh my god, you bought me a house. Like, she was so happy. So the fact that she's going back and turning it into something that it's not is complete bullshit. On the writers, especially, because it's complete bullshit. You know. So it was super frustrating, and I hate watching it because it's like, both of them knew Jim didn't want to do this for the rest of his life. If he had just come back to her and be like, I think we should rediscuss this, I would really like to look into this, I'm pretty sure it would have been fine. Yeah, it would have been hard with her having 2 kids and him not being there all the time, but at least they would have started out at a better place than him doing it behind her back and then her finding out and then it becoming this whole stupid thing. And this whole other thing where they acted like she was going to cheat on him with the sound guy. What was that? Y'all are just fucking bored. This, and just every show in general, if you have to start creating drama to keep the show going, you should just end the show. Like, you can, nobody gives a shit at that point because all you're doing is pissing everyone off, and then you end it with everyone pissed off. End the show while you're still good to go. Quite frankly, they probably should have wrapped it up after Michael left, if we're being completely honest. Everything after that was, like, low-key a waste of time. But, yeah. Okay. Season 8, again, where issues happen. Andy and Aaron was a very weird relationship. I don't know how old Andy is, generally. I don't know the ages of these characters. Aaron was very clearly very young, like 22, 23. So it was very weird when they started dating because it felt like this kind of weird older 40s dude trying to get with this younger 20-year-old. Very weird and uncomfortable. And then he kind of just like, they're not together, and then he starts dating someone else, but then she wants to be with him. It's this whole stupid thing. They get back together, and it's okay for a little while. It's still kind of weird and uncomfortable, if we're being honest. And then he just, like, kind of leaves for 3 months, and then comes back and is surprised when she dumps him, and I'm just like, okay, whatever. And then she gets with Pete, which is like portrayed as like, this is good for her, they're the same age, blah blah blah. And then, but they never really discuss it again. Like, what happened? Are they still together? Did they, like, what is happening? They just kind of was like, yeah, they got together, and then yeah, and it was super weird, and they kind of turned Andy into the douche. And I know the actor Ed Helms was filming The Hangover, but I feel like they could have not made him a douche when he came back. Again, creating unnecessary drama for no fucking reason. Okay, main character, Michael. He dates a lot of ladies. He first was with Carol, who sold him his condo. The actress is actually his wife in real life. That was kind of cool. But that just kind of ends because, like, he's kind of like this little kid in relationships. Like, he's just all like, oh, sprinkles and rainbows and let's get married right away. And other people kind of live in the real world, so you kind of feel bad for him. And then I think I felt bad for him, and especially because the show didn't address it. I don't know if it was just because of the time that it came out. Jan? His relationship with Jan was toxic and, quite frankly, abusive. And I don't know if it was because it was not the man to the woman, but the woman to the man being toxic and abusive. But they kind of just was like, brushed over it, and Mike was just like, oh my god, I hate her, and they broke up. But it was like, there was all this stuff that was like she was taking all his money, she was using him, she was manipulating him, she was recording their sex to go break down in therapy. Like, it was just bad from the start. And she just never appreciated him. And I really don't like that they kind of just brush over that and we're just like, yeah, he's moved on. And it's like, what? No. Okay. And then he dates Pam's mom, which was just, I don't know why they did that. Although Pam did smack him, so at least he did get smacked at some point. Very weird. He was just lonely. I don't know. Then he dates that bartender lady whose name I straight up just don't know because I didn't care. She was married, and this part I kind of liked was that at first he was kind of like, well, I'm not doing anything wrong because I'm the mistress, but then he realized that, no, that was wrong, people shouldn't cheat on each other, and he ends it, and you can see that he's sad, but he knows that he did the right thing. He knows that people shouldn't cheat on other people, so I'll give him that. And then Holly, of course they dated, she was relocated because they didn't disclose the relationship. She comes back, they start dating. I know some people who didn't or don't like Holly because they're like, she changed Michael, she made him a different person, and blah blah blah. And it's like, well, I don't think that that's true. I think that Michael was kind of happy little kid living in La La Land, and then he met someone that just made him genuinely happy and realized that he could actually have a happy life and have kids and blah blah blah. And he stopped being childish because he was ready for the next point of his life. That's a normal thing, you would hope, that people would just, and not necessarily because they meet someone, but like something happens in their life or they grow up or something. It's like, you're not losing who you are. You're just ready for the next step in your life. And for him, that was being with Holly and moving away and having a family and just being a better version of himself. Nothing wrong with that. There really wasn't. So I was happy for him at the end. I feel like he was more tolerable when Holly was around. And then I feel like they should have wrapped up the show that season, or maybe given it like one more season to wrap up, like, oh, this is where everyone is now kind of thing. And then, yeah, season 9 was a waste of everyone's time. Just saying. But overall, there are a lot of nice moments between couples, especially Jim and Pam, before season 9. And there's also a lot that was brushed over or just used as a butt of a joke, which I discussed, and that's my issue with it. So you all know, I do like the show, don't get me wrong. I tend to skip season 9 now because it's just a waste of time, and I've started watching season 1 and 2 again. Although I still don't like Roy. Whatever. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you have more to add? Why don't you come to my Twitter and we can chat about it? That's at Celine Laufey, @SelenelaUFey. I would love to hear your thoughts about it. Or if you know the name of the bartender lady that Michael dated, I would love to get that as well. I would also love to hear what you guys want to hear about next. I got another podcast coming out next Wednesday. Not quite sure what to talk about. I'm totally open to suggestions. We can talk about another show that I've watched. We can revisit some things. Whatever you want. Just let me know on Twitter. Thank you so much for listening. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't. Go check out my blog, writingintoragnarok.com. I really appreciate all of your support, and I will see you back next Wednesday for another amazing podcast.